Welcome back to the gym. Today I'm bringing you a complete upper body workout. This one is insanely high volume, so give it a shot and let's begin. We're starting off with the no retraction flat dumbbell bench press. I haven't done this exercise in well over 3 years, and in general, my dumbbell training's been lacking. So we're gonna get back into it, become way stronger, plus I bought some more weight plates at home. So on all fronts, we're gonna go heavy and just abuse this, because the biggest advantage of these dumbbells is not the weighted stretch as viewed by the size getting bulkier, unless you literally bring them out with a neutral grip, kind of doing like a hip press. No, it's the converging effect. The humerus is coming out and in, which is what it actually wants to do. Now, of course, there's no peak tension at the top, but that doesn't change the fact that it's a more natural range of motion for your build. And therefore, I'm not retracting either, because it just feels better on the shoulders and more stability of all things, especially with these super narrow benches. How do you even want me to stay tight on something like this? So try it out for yourself and you may find the same thing to be true. Anyway, these are the sets. Gotta say, I absolutely hate these old dumbbells because they rattle in your hands like crazy. See, those plates in between are not tight. These are decades old, man. So I don't think I'm going to do a lot of flats moving forward at this particular gym, unless I'm using these UMAX dumbbells, which are amazing, and I can't recommend them enough. So we're doing the seated anterior delt press. Awesome exercise. Not only does it indirectly hit your upper chest, but it'll build your strict press, and it's pretty much the same motion as done with the barbell. So a lot of you guys have been asking, hey, does it have to be with a barbell? The answer is no. So here, you can get a tuck at the bottom and a flare at the top. It's not an Arnold press, where that would actually exceed one's active range of motion, and it can be very difficult to do with these bulkier dumbbells, but it's still a very comfortable range of motion. And you can see, I'm struggling quite a bit. These ain't easy, man. I would say just as hard as regular overhead press. Same as even the standing version, just that you're a lot more stable here. So you see me do 100 pounds on my right arm, and 90 pounds for, I think, 6 reps on the left. But that's in a 100% fresh state. Regardless, I like to build up to that on the seated version. And I think by doing so, I should be able to take my 225 overhead press to at least 3 to 5 reps. And that's what I want to do moving forward, just getting stronger at basic bodybuilding motions and seeing how that improves my size and just general performance. Next, we got the converging chest press. First time using the machine, and I gotta say, it's awesome. Really gonna emphasize the mid to short position, because you're not really hitting the weight stretched out good, but that's perfectly fine since we already did that on the 2 previous exercises. And this is gonna finish off that chest. In particular, the costal pecs, if you look at the arm path that I'm going at here, okay? Which explains on 2 fronts why I'm able to lift so heavy. The stabilization is completely removed. So you just gotta brute force it. This is what you call an unga boonga lift, and you have a better arm path in the flat ball bench press. Plus, just like the dumbbells, you're coming out and in. So same effect here, but you just gotta strain. So really good if you guys have access to a hammer strength machine. I would say this is one of the best chest exercises you can do at the gym. And it explains why so many bodybuilders are doing it. Heck, you see a guy hitting 5 plates on this, you know that's a strong dude. So that's it for the presses. Now, before we talk about this exercise, I just want to mention that the reason I'm doing the chest and the shoulders first and then the entire back workout is because I lose my groove when I do push, pull, because I rest 3 minutes between sets, which you should as well. And it takes a lot of time, and I find that although you come in more refreshed, you lose your pump and you got to get back into the flow. It just doesn't feel as consistent. Not to mention the fact that I would have loved to superset, but because most machines are in completely opposite sides of the gym, plus I got to film, it's pretty much unrealistic. But if you can do it, then I would highly recommend push-pull supersets, or just train the muscles back and forth. All right? Here is the super wide pull down, where the arms are literally in a V formation. As some of you can imagine, this has the exact same benefits as a super wide weighted pull-up. Just that we're pulling the weight to us instead of us pulling the weight to the bar. Plus, it's easier to maintain that position, and you can get a deeper range of motion in most cases. Actually touch your clavicles. So if you want to use that as a supplementary motion to your wide grip pull-up, or in general you don't feel like doing that day or at the gym, just do those instead. They're a fine substitute and definitely time tested. Next, we got the hammer strength row, and I got some grips attached to it. You can use D handles from a cable station if you don't mind. Reason I did this is because the normal grip was completely internally rotated, which I've never seen on any machine. So very strange, and I had to correct that because the hammer strength itself is awesome, but you got to use the right arm path. So here, it kind of looks like a rear delt row, but at the same time, a little bit more tucked. So it's just a general upper back developer. You're going to get some width and thickness. Can't really go wrong with this. Awesome squeeze, and it might be one of my favorite chest supported rows I've tried yet. After that, we hit some neutral one-arm hammer strength pull downs. Again, I'm using the grip so that I get that neutral position. Otherwise, I'm going to have to use an underhand position to get my humerus tight to the body, which does involve the biceps more. And the strength curve on this one is a little bit weird, so this kind of corrects it. So remember, guys, if you go to a commercial gym, you can always modify the stuff yourself by bringing your own equipment. But yeah, this ain't a plug for anything. I'm not sponsored, and this is just a cheapo that I got. Regardless, this is going to hit the iliac division of the lats, even though it's not fully diagonal. The squeeze at the bottom is where you're really getting that effect. And you can literally see my lats popping out of the stringer. Look closely. Is that insane or what? Showing in a weird way like that. But yeah, you grab onto the machine to get more stability. You keep your spine in a relatively flexed position. Try to prevent yourself from arching your back, which is what you saw me do on the other back exercises. And you're good to go. So very simple stuff. And I always like to finish off my back training with a unilateral exercise. I'm finding it to be really helpful because you're already exhausted and you might as well get more or less weight, correct those imbalances, which I do have. Next, we got the dumbbell pullover, a classic old school bodybuilding exercise. I've started doing these because I want to shift my goals more to bodybuilding or just hypertrophy training in general. And this is one of the movements I used to do way back in the day. After studying many of the old school greats, they inspired me like no other. To this day, I remain inspired by the silver era goats and even the bronze era guys. Like, that's what real natural lifting should have been all about. And this right here has been claimed to expand the rib cage, which, you know what, I do believe it is a possibility because of the cartilage. It's not like your clavicles, which are a fixed bone per se. Here you get a nice stretch, you feel the thorax, and with the head off the bench, which is how Leroy Colbert instructed it, you take a deep breath and go as deep as your anthropometry allows. This will really maximize the pulling sensation. So I'm just going to be experimenting with these for a little bit. Remember, it's across the bench, not on it. And although this is a poor chest exercise with some lat focus, but it'd be better with the machine, I'm not doing it for either of those purposes. I'm strictly doing it for that aesthetic look right in the middle of my body. So I'm going to trust it, and I think it's going to help my posing as well. Then we move on to the arms. This is going to be 2 supersets, and we're out of here. We do the one-arm push down. This is excellent for guys who don't have dual ropes or don't feel like setting up dual cables. You just got to go back and forth. And what's really interesting here is that I'm using a single pulley, which is exceptionally rare. You don't see this in most gyms, and this is the only one in this gym where it's pretty much the exact same thing as my ghetto push down. So it's awesome for me to compare. I've gotten so used to it that I prefer one cable over 2. Like, the strength curve hits different. After that, we superset it with some cable curls to really hit the shortened position of the biceps. This appears to be the trend. You want to get the squeeze motions in first and then the stretch based exercises, which not only decreases the risk of injury, but also makes most sense in a biomechanics context because your muscles are weakest in the shortened position. So if you let that tire out first, and then say do something like a mechanical drop set where you're gonna hit the lengthen, well, it's doable. And if you're not doing drop sets, well, your next exercise should theoretically be smoother compared to doing it the other way around. Plus, you won't have to go as heavy, which is always nice, especially on those curls. Though I do want to get stronger. Then we drop the load a bit. Here's the last set, the cable curls. I've always enjoyed these. The only limitation could be the attachment you're using. You got to find something that works with your anthropometry. And what I found is that when you're not built for what's there, your arm's gonna be a little bit more in front of the body. Also with these, because the direction of resistance is not 100% vertical, the top is really hard to grind through, and you're probably gonna include some shoulder flexion at the very end. Just don't do that for every single repetition. You want those elbows in a relatively stable position. Finally, we have the machine overhead extension. This feels awesome on the elbows and demolishes the long head of the triceps. If you got access to one of these, definitely go for it because it's extremely stable. Your back is pressed against the pad, and it's easy on the shoulders of all things. Plus, it's a similar grip to what you would do with an easy bar, just slightly wider. Then for biceps, it's the incline dumbbell curl. I want to do the 40s because that's what I did in my recent workout, but I didn't consider the fact that my volume was way higher and I did a cable curl right before, so I get weak super quickly and therefore I have to drop the weight on the last 2 sets. Either way, I'm still happy with how these moved, and here you can see I hit failure, even though if you would look at the previous rep, you're like, no, that's not possible. Well, that's what it means to emphasize the lengthened position. You're weak in the bottom. So that's the limiting factor 100% of the time. Your ability to strain is kind of limited. So yeah, here's the final set of the extensions. So good, so freaking good. Hitting reps of 15, which I actually end up getting. And for those of you who do have sensitive elbows, you might want to stick to some higher reps in the 10 to 15 zone and no less than 8. Like, you honestly shouldn't have problems, especially since you did push downs right beforehand. Okay, here's the final set of the workout. Like I said, drop it a bit, and this one moved a lot better. In fact, I definitely got stronger. Every time I do these incline dumbbell curls, it feels better and better. So I know that progressive overload is taking place, and I know that these biceps are going to improve. I'm just focusing on basic movements, and I found the dumbbells just feel so much better on my anthropometry. Less restrictive. This is the way it's got to be. So we're going to get real strong. Rep in the 50s is a short-term goal at the end of a workout. So that's it. I hope you guys enjoyed this one. Check out this pump. Weighing 184 pounds. Really happy with how my physique's coming along, and we're just going to keep this grind going. So let's all stay consistent, and I'll see you in the next training video.